what a stop. Sliding across to make the save.
Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is kind of a gray, cloudy, overcast Tuesday. The good news is the temperatures are not bad at all, around 60. But if you're wondering when winter returns, the answer is next Monday. And then we go back into the low 40s for highs. Got a good show for you today. I'll tell you up front that we will open the phones at 4 o'clock on the button. We'll go from 4 to about 4:40 with your phone calls, and then Mark McGee will join us to talk about the Preds and their new problems, a 5-game losing streak at the moment. Let's go to Murfreesboro, say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. Look at my hair. It does not look good again, but hey, it is what it is.
What do you think's causing it?
You look like Sid the Science Kid.
I don't know.
Did you
We're
plug
rolling
it
with it today,
something?
though.
Yeah. Did you
Huh?
plug it into something?
I don't know. It looks like I did. It looks like I plugged my finger into a light socket and it's sticking straight up. Wow. Hey, we're going with it today, though. Who cares?
It's funny because Taylor Barnett's dad and I had this same conversation about Taylor earlier
did
today.
you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So, what's going on? Anything?
No, I just feel better now that I've got the weather report for the remainder of this week and for the beginning of next week.
I mean,
And
long range.
I mean, yeah, long range forecast. And just what you said, I hate when it gets like this time of year because it gets 70s and everybody starts feeling like it's going to be springtime. And then all of a sudden we'll get a 20-degree day and then it'll snow again. Yeah.
Billy,
George,
how are you today?
I'm good.
Do you have anything of substance for us, or is it just...
We've got some on the docket today.
Do you?
Yep. It's brought to you by Lori
Well,
Burnett.
I mean, what would be the grade in your own estimation?
I'd probably give today a B.
Okay.
B.
Kelly,
Okay.
it doesn't sound like it's all that good, does it?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot of confidence there. And Billy, I've been meaning to ask you too. Are we still on with the little girl in Pittsburgh? I mean, are we still? Is that still a thing?
I'll let you know later, Kelly.
Why you gotta let us know, man? Hey, this is an open book between us. We
No,
work together.
That's a private matter.
All right, we've got update material to get to. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyyusa.com or give her a call 615-969-4350. SEC hoops tonight. Kentucky at Ole Miss in a big one. Kentucky,
that is a big one.
Trying to bounce back after their loss to Arkansas. Ole Miss trying to respond from their loss to Auburn. The Rebels are at home. They're a 4.5-point favorite in that one. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt is not a favorite. They're a 12.5-point underdog tonight in Gainesville. Not going to be easy for Vandy. And then Auburn, after that win over Ole Miss, they host Oklahoma. The line for that one is 17.5.
They're putting some enormous lines on Auburn when they're at home. And the scary thing is they cover most of them at home.
They're just about unbeatable at home. Some disappointing news for West Virginia fans. Their star player Tucker DeVries will have season-ending surgery on Wednesday. Significant news out of the Big 12. His dad is the head coach there. Yeah. They were a package deal.
They left Drake, which a year ago was really good. I think I'm right. Didn't Drake make a fairly significant move in the tournament?
Drake last year?
Yeah.
Oh,
they
yeah.
won a game.
They won a game or
Did they?
two. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But they're not having any problem without him either. Drake's probably going to win the Missouri Valley. But that's disappointing for Tucker DeVries. Also disappointing for Preds fans last night as they lose to the Senators 5-2. And apparently fans booed during the Canadian national anthem and the American national anthem.
Okay, hold on a second, because I was there. I never heard anything during our anthem. Now, perhaps some of you out there may be saying, well, he's gone deaf. Oh, I heard the Canadian part loud and clear. And it involves the fact that the Canadians have booed the Star Spangled Banner because of the new tariff stuff.
Right. Well, either way, the Preds lose again. You said that's their fifth?
Fifth in a row.
They'll be at Chicago Friday night. Preds trying to figure some stuff out. Also, the Packers are going to have to figure some stuff out with their kicker. Although Mason Crosby didn't play in the NFL this season, but he is retiring from football after 17 seasons. At 40 years old, he announced his decision on his morning radio show. He ends his career as the Packers' all-time leading scorer. He was there from 2007 to 2022.
Wow. So, Kelly, let me ask you this. How many kickers are there out of work that are fully capable of doing NFL work?
That's a tough question, George. I don't really know that. That's a tough job. I always tell my wife when we're watching a college game and it comes down to the last kick, I said, don't trust him because he's not an NFL kicker. There's only 32 of them in the world. And that's a tough gig. So I don't know how many guys are out there, but if you got a good one, just like Mason Crosby stayed there for as many years as he stayed there. I was with Mike Vanderjagt. I was with Phil Dawson in Cleveland. Once you find that guy, then that's something as a coach and as an administration and as a personnel people that you do not have to worry about for many years. So those are not, those are hard jobs to come by, George. But I don't know how many guys would still be out there. 10, 15 maybe that are good enough to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
Also, the bigger news in the NFL, Cooper Kupp has been informed by the Rams that they'll be seeking a trade immediately. Kupp said, I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was going to begin and end in L.A., but his guaranteed salary next season is only $5 million, and he has no guaranteed money on the final year of the deal in 2026.
Wow.
This is a head scratcher for me, Kelly. I don't get this.
I don't either.
I
got
mean,
that new young guy, and you put both those guys together. Like, I don't think Cooper Kupp has lost anything. Plus, he stays relatively healthy. So,
yeah,
I don't know. He's just a really good football player. He's a crafty veteran who knows how to get open. People always told him that he couldn't. He wasn't big enough. He couldn't do it. He wasn't fast enough. And it's one of those Julie Edelman deals where just a good player. And I would not like. He's one of the guys that you would want on your team.
I'm taking a look at him if I'm the Titans.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think there'll be a bunch of teams that do. When it felt like about midway through this past season that Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Matthew Stafford completely gelled. And from that point on, the Rams were a really tough out.
Yeah, they were.
Think about Philly in the Super Bowl today. The Rams got down to Philly 17 before having to, spit the bit with a chance to tie it.
Isn't it weird how receivers that like Cooper Kupp had that great year, and then he hasn't really been the same since, feels like, or had a good couple of year run. But it's hard
to be consistent in that league, Billy. Those guys are so good, and if you have like a little nagging injuries, like a hamstring deal, a soft tissue deal, sometimes that's it's just hard to duplicate. Saying that, like Steve Largent, like he was so consistent, nobody thought he could play or he could do it either. But Steve Largent was the guy, and he did it consistently for a long time. But nowadays, man, it's tough to stay healthy in this violent sport.
I don't get this one. This is a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Super Bowl media days rolling on in New Orleans. Andy Reid said this morning that he would return for at least one more year as the head coach of the Chiefs. He said, I enjoy being around the guys. I enjoy the football games. You can't put in the hours that we do and not enjoy it. So I really love the game. He's 66 now.
So, Kelly, let me ask this question. If the Chiefs win it all and they achieve the three-peat, do you immediately start hearing all this four-peat and people like, Travis Kelce saying, I'm not retiring until we lose, until we don't win a Super Bowl? Is that kind of where this is all going?
Absolutely. I think that you watch the documentary about the Bulls and Michael Jordan, and they wanted another chance to come back, and they dismantled that team after they won the championship. I think the same thing is every team, when they win a championship, wants to do it again. And if they do win 3 in a row, which is obviously historical, but hey, most of those guys are going to come back and see if they can do it for the 4th time in a row. And they've got the guy behind center who's, I was listening to the radio before, man, just like he does not lose. They do not lose in crunch time. They've won 19 straight one-possession games. Crazy.
It's insane what they've done. Now, the Bulls thing kind of came down to a big ego clash. Jerry Krause, the GM, who the players absolutely despised, and Phil Jackson, who was sort of in between the players and Krause, but then sort of drifted into I'm with the players. And it was only well after the fact, after they won the third, that Reinsdorf reached out to Phil Jackson and said, do you want to try it again? And Phil said, forget it. It's done.
Yeah.
It's over.
Well, on Mahomes, doesn't it feel like every time they have to have a play, they get it? Like if you go back in games, the 3-4 key moments, key plays, they never mess up. That's why they win. They win those moments that you have to win. Whereas the Bills, they lose 1 or 2 key moments and they don't win the game. Like they put so much pressure on the opponent to, like, you have to win every moment.
The Bills, in the end, this is just me, they were never good enough defensively. Yeah, they've got a Matt Milano, and they've got an Ed Oliver, but the rest of it's pretty average. Average isn't going to beat the Chiefs. Kelly, the thing I see in Mahomes that it just amazes me. Nothing seems to rattle this guy.
No, he's one of those guys, those generational talents that come around and you really don't know what you got until you get him, and then he turns out to be this. And I like the stats that he's recording right now are unbelievable. Like 7 years he's been a pro, and he's been to 7 AFC championship games. This is his 5th Super Bowl. He's going after his 3rd in a row, which nobody's ever done. He's won 19 straight one-possession games. He doesn't turn the ball over. He can move. It's a nightmare for defensive coordinators. I'm sure that Vic Fangio is up nights right now, and he's not sleeping well. He's probably taking some sleep aids to try to go to sleep. But it's one of those deals where he's just, when he's off schedule, he makes things happen. He does great things with the football, and I've told y'all that before. That's what makes an average quarterback to be a great quarterback. When it's off schedule, do you make the right decision? And it seems like the guy always does. Like there's only one time where he's been pedestrian looking, and that was the Super Bowl when the Tampa Bay Bucks beat him, and he was running for his life. And Tom Brady's got this. He's got this mystique about him, and that's really the only time that you've ever seen Patrick Mahomes like not have an answer. Every other time he does.
Well, a quarterback that can't necessarily move and wasn't able to move a lot this year, Kirk Cousins came out and said that for the first time that health did impact his play in the second half of the season. Of course, now comes out and says that. But along with head coach Raheem Morris and their general manager, they were adamant during the season that his status was not the reason behind his poor play. However, in an interview this morning, he said he suffered a shoulder injury in Week 10 against the Saints and never returned to full strength.
Okay, so
but why is that just now coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they obviously didn't want people knowing if he did have to play to go after that shoulder. I guess. I mean, I don't know what else there would be.
Control. He's trying to play some more.
Yeah, Kelly, the feeling in Atlanta is that they're going to release him on whatever date it is they have to release him.
Yeah.
Save the money, and then he goes on the free agent tour, and Nashville, Tennessee feels like an obvious place he's got to consider.
I would certainly consider it because you really don't have a proven guy here. You've got a young guy that everybody thought was going to be the guy, and it hadn't turned out that way. So maybe he can be a stopgap for somebody else coming in the future. I'm not sure, but it would be it would be a place where he could come right in, he could learn the offense, and he could certainly help the Titans.
That's what I got.
That's it.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. The
Orioles agreed to terms with Ramon Laureano.
Yeah, and that one's a little bit of a head scratcher because he made a pretty significant contribution to the Braves.
Yeah.
I mean,
forgot about him.
How did they get there with all those injuries? Well,
he did play well.
He did play pretty well for them. But anybody who cost any money this year, they have just turned and ran for cover.
How many days away?
50.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. 7
wow.
weeks. 7 weeks, I think, from tomorrow.
With the Preds, as bad as they've been, is there more hunger for the Braves now?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to reconcile the fact that there's not going to be any hockey fun in the spring. I have always, when they're in playoff contention.
That does really change the spring for Nashville.
It does.
Folks.
It does. We're going to talk with Mark McGee about all of it today at 4:40. Again, we will open up the phones at 4 o'clock. I didn't feel like we gave people enough time yesterday, and I want to try to make up for that today. So we'll open from 4 to about 4:40. Tony Basilio, Knoxville sports talk show host extraordinaire, is in the on-deck circle. He will join us after the break on 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
Hey Doors fans, it's Jake Lyman. Vanderbilt women's basketball is in Austin on Thursday night for a showdown with the top 10 Texas squad. I'll have the call. Pregame starts at 7:45.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We've heard that song before. We welcome all of you back on kind of a cloudy, gray Tuesday afternoon in Nashville. My guess is it's not a whole lot different up in Knoxville as we say hello to Knoxville's finest, Tony Basilio. What do we got going there?
I had a little mask on. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Good.
Good.
Kelly, how do you feel about the lid?
A lot better, thank you.
It looks a lot better than my hair does right now. That's for sure.
Well,
Kelly,
I don't know anything about hair.
But you know what? Mine's gray, but I have hair, Tony. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I look like Uncle Fester.
So, what are the Super Bowl plans for Sunday at the Basilio house?
Well, we were thinking about going out, Georgie, and then we were thinking about having a party. So, what do you think we ought to do?
I think you should do both.
That's a really good
party.
idea.
Party at the house.
Party at the house. Bring everybody over.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's
Indoctrinate them.
Listeners included.
I have a couple friends that are Chiefs fans. I told them to come over. They can be halftime entertainment. If the game goes the way I think it's going to go, we might need some halftime entertainment. Not named Kendrick Lamar.
So you are not hopeful.
No.
Really?
What?
Well, they have Patrick Mahomes. We don't.
Well, that's
right.
Yeah.
So, okay, several years ago, nobody thought Philly could beat the Patriots, and Nick Foles had an unbelievable day. It was the Philly special. Remember that play? So why can't that happen here?
Sure, it could happen again, but that team back then was just full of incredible character guys. They were completely together. That was a unique NFL team they had that year. I mean, they did that with a backup quarterback who, after he left, he signed a big deal in Jacksonville. And I mean, Nick Foles is a Hall of Fame human being. I mean, a terrific guy. Average at best NFL quarterback. That was a sports miracle that year. That's what happened.
A journeyman,
man. Timing.
A journeyman with
timing, brother. Timing matters.
Yeah. So, give me some thoughts on what you saw on Saturday. A depleted Vol roster.
Yeah.
D's up like crazy and just beats the snot out of Florida.
George, I know you're a rambling, gambling man. In the gambling world, most people wait around for spots like that and play that team that loses a star. Because invariably what happens is when Tennessee lost to Kai Ziegler and then Igor Milicic on top of that, that is a large part of their offense. It's a large part of their identity. But what it does is, especially when the game's in your building, the Vols still went off a slight favorite because a lot of people gambled on Tennessee because a lot of people look at spots like that as you must play that team for the first game. Now, after that, once the sugar high wears off, that's a different story. Both guys are going to be back tomorrow from Missouri. But what you witnessed was a group of guys pick each other up. It's truly why we watch sports when you see something like that. Even Florida fans would tell you that was a terrific effort from the Vols.
So we've got two totally different kind of performances. Against Kentucky, couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. Against Florida, they were really good. What do you honestly think they are? And let me ask it this way. Are they a national title contender?
You asked about Tennessee?
Yeah.
Not really. No. They don't shoot it enough. They don't shoot it well enough, George. Tennessee doesn't shoot it well enough. To win a national championship, you got to win 6 games in a row, 5 of which are going to be against very good competition. I mean, the way I look at the tournament is right now the Vols are projected. Some people have them on the 1 line, some on the 2 line. That means your first game, you're seeded into the second round if you're a 1 or a 2.
Right.
So in the second round, if you're a 1 seed, you get an 8-9 game, which is a losable basketball game for this team if you don't shoot the ball well. Then you see somebody better, obviously, in the 16, unless your bracket completely opens up. I mean, eventually, you've got to make shots. And these guys haven't proven to me, even though they have some quality wins on the year, like we saw in Nashville, they just have nights where they can't throw it in the ocean. And the Kentucky game happened after my last meeting with you here. They shot 45 3-pointers in that game.
Yeah.
You know, if you play the way some teams do that like to get them up, Alabama likes to get 45 3 balls up, but they know they're going to make a certain percentage of them. It's baked into the way they play. It's just a matter of numbers. Tennessee, on the other hand, they're not equipped. As slow as they play, they're not equipped to shoot 45. They're not equipped to play in a game like that. So I think this is a really, really good team. I think this is a team that could match last year's team and go to the Elite 8. But in terms of cutting the nets down, no, I don't think this team's cutting any nets down anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, it'd be great to see that.
So
obviously,
is it as simple as on nights where they really show you their A game, it's likely because Chaz Lanier contributes 4 or 5 threes to an offense that desperately needs it?
Well, yeah, they need him to score. The thing that was really interesting about Saturday was the way that the Gainey kid played. Because I had been of the belief that they didn't have any other options at point guard. And if I were Tennessee, I think I would, after watching Saturday, I would work on some stuff where Gainey plays point and Zakai Ziegler plays off him on the wing. First of all, I keep him fresher. Secondly, his first year here when Kennedy Chandler was the point guard and Zakai Ziegler was a 5'6" shooting guard, he shot the ball very, very well. And I think that'd be a fun, interesting thing to look at. The second thing that Tennessee did the other night is the Okpara kid, who's a Nashville area kid.
Right.
We didn't think here that he could catch the ball in the paint, turn and score. And he did it a couple of times. His baskets have been, for the most part, above the rim. Dunks, putbacks, junk, stuff like that. They have a run place for him. The other night they ran some duck-ins for him, got the ball inside to him, played a little inside-out basketball after that. It kind of opened the floor up for them. The game Saturday with Florida was a revelation. The problem becomes, though, as you know, with hoops, the things you're able to do in a game are so much dictated by the way you're defended more than anything. And so the question becomes, are they going to see defense like that again? Because I don't think Missouri's going to defend them like that. I think Missouri's going to force Tennessee to do things from the perimeter
and take their chances.
Sure.
Okay. You have no clue this is coming. Kelly has no clue this is coming. A friend of mine sent me an article earlier today that I wanted to talk to you about. Mike Bianchi from the Orlando Sentinel wrote a thing about the ACC and the TV package that they have agreed to with ESPN. And in there, he talks about the fact that in the ACC is including what is called a brand fund distributed to schools that annually generate the most TV revenue for the conference. And Bianchi says we can only presume that the league's marquee football programs would reap most of the, quote, brand fund cash, although it's being reported that men's and women's basketball will also be included in the equation. And so what he does in the article, he kind of goes through schools that would benefit in all these conferences from the brand fund and the schools that would kind of get screwed over. And he says for him, and I happen to agree with him, this is a really disturbing trend, the brand fund. Got any thoughts?
I think when you're a league that's trying to hold it together and you've got 4 teams that know we have to go elsewhere if we're going to compete nationally in a playoff type environment, that's a way to placate them, keep them at home.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they did in that TV, well, yeah, of course. And the other thing they did in that TV deal is they're playing footsie now with Notre Dame. So Notre Dame gets to enhance their schedule playing those better teams in that league annually. The ACC gets the rub, but Notre Dame doesn't have to split any of their TV dollars with these people. I mean, it remains amazing how they get away with it. George, I was looking at something today. We were talking about it on my show today. South Carolina is the easiest game left on Tennessee's schedule, and they're at the very bottom of the SEC. They haven't won a league game. Their KenPom rating, there are, 18 teams in the ACC, I think now, the metastasized ACC team. They have 11 ACC teams behind them.
Really?
That's how bad that league is in basketball. That's an atrocious league in basketball. And their football is, seriously, it's not much better. I mean, when you look at the depth of the league, and now that's just you think the ACC is going to exist, George, in 5 years at this point?
Honestly, no.
I don't either. When you start doing things like that, where you say to the other schools, hey, by the way, screw you, good luck. I mean, I don't, what's that say to the Wake Forest of the world? You're sitting in there and you're Bahama John Curry, and, obviously that is directed at Florida State, Clemson, please, Miami, please stay here. Please stay with us. Who was the fourth in that, George? Do you remember the fourth breakaway?
I don't, but didn't
North Carolina? It was North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina, yes.
Didn't Texas have this same deal going for a while in the Big 12?
I mean, they let them set up their own TV network, if you remember,
Right.
And that's where a lot of the animosity came, which allegedly chased Texas A&M here. But we all know A&M came to the SEC for greed and for money. It's why those people do everything.
Kelly, as I turn it to you, the record remains intact. I do not know one person who ever had the Longhorn Network.
Amen.
Tony, you might have been the one that told me this, but somebody told me the other day, and it could have been you. I don't know. My brain's a little mosh pit, but there was a gazillionaire, and is this how this NIL stuff is going to go? Because he was saying, I'm about to give $100 million to a certain school, and I'm going to invest 50, and I'm going to give them 50 to use for whatever they want to use it for. And the guy's like, well, do you think you're going to get 50 million back? And he was like, it's the best investment. College football, you see where college football is right now. It's up on a pedestal, and big tech companies seem like that they're going to start doing that. Are you hearing that around the way? Tony, have you heard that?
Well, private equity funds are starting to get involved in sport. The problem is it's not an investment. You're just giving money away. So that's the thing I don't understand about any of this. I realize the super wealthy are the super wealthy, and they live in a different world than we do.
Yeah.
I remember the John Gruden days. I was telling somebody this that's working on an oral history of the whole Pruitt thing, the debacle here. And I was trying to explain to them that you have to go back to where the Tennessee fans thought they were getting John Gruden. And I'll never forget, there was a day where, and I'll tie this into this, because the super wealthy just live in they just live in a different world than we live in. Even more than, like, say, the rich athletes, Kelly, I'm talking about, like, wealthy, super wealthy people.
Yeah.
So
It's
Tennessee fans were convinced that John Gruden was on this airplane coming back from South Florida. And this couple from West Knoxville, this guy's like a very wealthy, like, I don't know, something in the financial field, but he's a retired guy in his 50s. They get off the airplane and the media's like, "Where's John Gruden?" And they're like, "I don't know. We went shopping in Miami." They took their jet down and went shopping in, like, Miami. I mean, and everybody's looking around for John Gruden. So I think this thing, the spot that they're in major college football, Danny White today announced in major college sports, he announced today that they're raising ticket prices here in basketball 15%. 10% of that is going to be what they're calling a talent fee, which is going to go to the players. My question for Danny White is, why are you getting that from the fans if you're getting more television revenue now more than ever? Why can't you just take it from that? Why do the fans have to continue? They tripled basketball prices here when he first got here. They tripled prices. And now they're back for another 15%. And then in a couple of years, they're going to come back and get another 15% and another 15%. And it just never ends. And so I don't know what the end game is here, and I don't know what the super wealthy are getting out of this. I don't know that I understand any of this, Kelly, but it would not surprise me that somebody's giving them $100 million, 50 in cash, and then 50 to invest and play with in the future. But that person's not going to own anything. That's for damn sure. That's in professional sports where you own stakes and things.
Kelly, not having been in big money, but I'm speculating. This is ego.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. People, I've always said it, like, we've got people here in Murfreesboro that are big money folks, and they graduated from Murfreesboro and they graduated from Middle. But here's the deal. They would rather give money to UT and go up there and say, "Hey, I'm a big donor for UT," instead of saying I'm a big donor here for Middle. So that's just the way things are, man. It's just, it's kind of disheartening sometimes, but that's just the way big money works, Well,
you need them. I mean, obviously you need them. And I just want, there just seems like there's an endless supply of those people. And I just wonder where it comes from. But even with the presence of those folks all over this thing, they still are going after, working class folks and raising their ticket prices. It's remarkable to me. It's like there's no end to it.
It always falls back on the consumer, which pisses me off. That's where it always falls back to, and people, like, I don't understand how an average family of four goes to a Tennessee Titans game or goes to any NFL game, because you have to pay to get in. Like, that's a $500 or $600 day for dad having to pay all that stuff with the tickets, with the food, with parking, with it's just, I don't understand how people do it. And I don't know if we ever get to a top where people just say, "I'm done with it."
That's kind of, and that's my fear, because eventually, well, like, I look at these campuses, right? At all these campuses, they've taken the student ticket allotment and shrunk them. While they've lived off activities fees on these athletic programs, they live off activity fees, which are baked into the tuition that everybody. But the kids can't go to games. But they all pay the activities fee. They just can't go to the games because there's a limited number of tickets. My thing is, that is supposed to be your ticket buyer of tomorrow. Guys, that's where I caught the fever for this Tennessee thing. And if I were on the campus today, I would bet you I would have gotten into like 3 or 4 games a year. That's what these kids are getting into, instead of, we used to go get the activities fees of all the foreign students, George. People that looked like I'm not trying to be politically incorrect here, but people we knew didn't know a football from a hockey puck. And we'd say, "Hey, could we have your activities card?" And we go stand in line and get like 25 tickets. Those were the good old days.
Jug
Wow.
Dish and Animal House.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
I just remember playing the NFL. We'd have the NFLPA meeting when the season started. Then they were like, and this is where it goes down to. They're just like, we don't care if anybody goes to the game as long as we got these TV rights, we're good. And that's kind of the way it is now.
But
And yeah,
Kelly, Tony, when Tennessee reached a point in basketball under Wade Houston when they were god awful, I can remember walking into Thompson Bowling one day and it was about 3,500. The key is Danny White can get away with it as long as Barnes churns out 20 victory seasons.
that's right. And his football coach that he hired, who really, really, really is going to have an interesting season this year, guys. This is going to be a really interesting year for this football team because this is the final year of them having a 2-year stretch where they're in a real generous schedule. Because if they turn around and flip that schedule and make them play the opposite teams next year, I mean, they're going to be, that is going to be one hard schedule in 2026. I don't know what they're going to do schedule-wise. They haven't announced that yet. They haven't shown that. And that's the thing. When you treat your fans the way this guy has treated his fans, you better keep winning because you are making it all about that. And that's a tough deal. It really is. These people love their Vols, though. They love them. And it pains my heart that some of them will borrow to get their season tickets or deprive themselves of a vacation or whatever it is. It just kind of, and I just say, what are we doing? I mean, you're making way more money at the network level than you ever dreamed possible. Why do you have to raise your basketball ticket prices 15%? The answer is you don't. That's the answer, but they're going to.
So since you brought up football, just give us a round robin on like how did free agency go? Have y'all got some good guys? I mean, what's the deal? Give us something.
Very incomplete. They
Really?
had a very incomplete portal haul, but I don't think they're alone because what happened in this winter portal, the number of people that were supposed to go into it didn't. These teams invested in their roster. So when you're a team like Tennessee and you have a lot of need areas, you're in a spot where you still need. And Tennessee's not alone. There's going to be unless you get some other rivals, which we don't know what's going to happen in the spring, but there's another window in the spring. Unless some people are talked into the portal by various schools, and Tennessee's one of them. Tennessee needs help in their secondary. They need help in their linebacking core. They need help in their defensive line. They need help on their offensive line still. They need wide receiver and skill position help. And in some of these areas, you're going to rely on, young players and freshmen and that sort of thing. And in this league, you do that in enough spots and you'll lose games. It doesn't matter how good the players are around them. Everybody knows that. But many people, it's easy to get myopic and just look at your own situation and say, well, the Vols have a lot of. A lot of schools have a lot of needs because the portal was not what it's been. It was not what it was the first couple of years because these schools kept their kids, a lot of them, from going into the portal. And like at Ohio State, for instance, I mean, their payroll allegedly is going to soar north of $30 million from 20, which is excessive. 10 more million. I mean, they're going to pay that one wide receiver, that Jeremiah Smith guy. Allegedly, they're going to pay him around $5 million just to stay. And Kelly, I'll tell you this, that kid on a college football field is unfair. Like we use the term cheat code. That's not fair. I mean, how would you like to be a college kid and try to cover him? McCoy's a really nice player from Tennessee. And he's another example. There's a guy that just had a knee surgery. I don't know that he plays this year.
Really?
And they haven't covered for his loss. I'm telling you, this season here is going to be really, really interesting because they still have a generous schedule, and Nico gets another year, but I don't see a lot of skill players around him just yet. And this Brazil guy who's supposed to be the wide receiver that takes another step, I call it like it is. I talk to people, they tell me this guy doesn't have a great work ethic. And when you don't work and you got your money That's a bad combination, man. I'm just telling you. I don't look for him to take the next step.
Tony, what about Nico? Has Nico got a good work ethic?
A great work ethic.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. With
Yes.
him doing, allegedly, fielding calls from other schools, allegedly, has that turned anybody off on Nico or not really?
No. Hey,
No.
Kelly,
Okay.
listen. If I were these guys and that was your kid, and I wasn't guaranteed that I was playing the NFL, because it's not guaranteed he's going to play in the NFL. I mean, he's a nice player right now. But you think he's a surefire NFL player, Kelly, when you want? No. I would get every dollar I could.
Yeah.
I would tell every quarterback in the country, you go right into that portal, or you threaten to every year. Why wouldn't you? What would these coaches do to these kids? You guys tell me. I'm just keeping it real here. I know it upsets fans. This is a system these coaches and these administrators set up, though. They're the ones that could not wait to jump. You tell me every one of these guys that's coached has looked a kid in the eye and said, I'm staying. I'm staying. I'll never leave. I'm staying. And then they jump right across the street for another dollar. It's just how it is.
They'll take a Buckeye sticker off the helmet.
Sure. Hey, look at Chip Kelly. I love college football, he said, if that national championship game. He couldn't
until that money comes calling.
And George, he's got a $30 million roster and every toy in the garage to play with next year. There was no reason for him to leave and go back to the NFL. Yeah, they offered him a ton of money. And by the way, the NFL guys hate Chip Kelly. Kelly will tell you that. They can't stand Chip Kelly. I'm telling the truth.
Hold on.
That's a guy not respected in the NFL game.
Let's
Am I
get
lying,
Billy.
Kelly?
Hold on. We got to do this. Billy, get in the picture.
I didn't say that, but you are right. You are correct, Tony. There's people that there's a level of there's a level of respect right there that is not there.
Thank you.
Billy, in this, raise your right hand. Have you sent Tony a resume in the last 2 weeks?
I love Billy. Look at him.
No, I still need to.
Yeah, if you're smart.
He's a stallion, ain't he, Tony? He's a stallion.
Brother, I'm going to come down there, and you and I are going to pour one out on St. Patrick's Day, and we're going to hang out. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh,
Billy will probably call in sick.
Billy, what day is St. Patrick's Day? What day in March?
Not sure.
What?
I'm just going to tell you this. Billy is.
Are you asking what day of the week?
March 17th. You dope.
Okay, you said day.
Tony, I'm going to tell you this. Billy is a marginal flight risk. He may sleep through when you come down here. So I'm just going to be honest with you. Because every time he's got to go somewhere, he oversleeps. Like, how do you do that? Like, grow up, Billy. Be responsible.
At least I know where I'm going. Kelly couldn't even find the Fordyce Center.
I found it. Eventually, I found it. I'm not a Nashvilleian, you little punk.
You just got electrocuted.
Bill, I like to hear Billy give it back to Kelly. I'm enjoying this now, George. This segment's turned on Kelly. I'm enjoying this.
Okay, can you let us go to a commercial break?
You can do whatever you want to.
We are, but we're way behind. But I want people to know how to reach you when we come back. Fair enough?
Beautiful.
94.9 The Fan. This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. More than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
A lot of people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, I don't do this very often, but I want to alert people there has apparently been a shooting on the interstate somewhere near the Wedgwood Avenue exit, somewhere between exit 80 and 81. As you can imagine, the interstate over in that area is a mess. If you happen to hear this live and can get around it somehow, please do. Okay, Tony. People love hearing you. Got a guy, Rick Albright, who said in a deal here, I love when you have Tony on. Thanks, George. Well, more thanks, Tony. Okay, people in Middle Tennessee, a lot of them listen to you, but others may be new to what you're doing. Tell them how they can hear you.
No accounting for taste, George, but we got a couple great calls from that area today. But they can catch us at tclub.team. Again, tclub.team. Tomorrow, we'll be on when the game's over as well. But I'm on during the day, and all the shows are podcasted, and you can work out and do what you're going to do, and take me with you, as people tell me.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Thanks.
Well,
Yep,
Kelly, I just don't even want to think about where people are when they're these days. You can consume it, it ain't. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. Well, that was a fun second segment, boys.
Right. You don't want to know how the sausage is made. Thank you as always.
George, thanks, man.
Go Eagles, man. Go Eagles. What's the score going to be? Give us a
You're
score. Give it a
HOF
prediction.
for a reason. I'm negative on Sunday. I just love that we're in the Super Bowl and that we matter, and it's just fun. And the Cowboys suck. So there's that.
That's true.
Love it. See you, Tony.
See you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, man. He is a scream. Love
He's
having
funny.
him on, and apparently the listeners do too, which is awesome. Okay, anything that you heard during that you want to comment on for just a minute? Thanks, Billy.
I mean,
he's looking at you, Billy.
Really. You're the co-host here, Kelly.
I know, and he's looking at you. I know that.
I mean, Tennessee basketball, he doesn't think they're a national title contender when they're the number 4 team in the country. They just beat Florida by 20. What is it with these? Like, Tennessee, they could be a top 5 team, but they're not a title contender.
Well, because they've reached a point offensively where it seems like all the pressure is on Chaz Lanier. He feels like at the moment the only person that can elevate them past the bad stuff we've seen. Never mind the good stuff against Florida.
Yeah, it just seems like they had a better supporting cast. Don't y'all think last year they had Vescovy, they had Jordan James, they had all those guys.
They had Dalton Connect last year.
Yeah, and the thing
I know, they had Dalton Connect.
You could basically do what Duke is doing with Cooper Flagg. Anytime you need a bucket, you clear out a side of the court, and one of two things or both happen. Either he makes the bucket and or he gets fouled. And they don't have that luxury right now. And until they do, I hear this stuff about Milicic. I'm not sold on Milicic. But under the what are the other options, there's a little pressure on that guy to start producing a little bit.
Well, they've got to hit their shots. I mean, when Gainey's off too, with Lanier and Ziegler's not hitting, they're not a very good team. I mean, they've got their defense, but you saw in the Auburn game, they might play great defense, but if they're not hitting enough shots, and even against Kentucky, they shot 45 threes.
But remember this when you say that, they were within 1 3B of beating Auburn at Auburn.
Yeah,
nobody else has come even close. So it accounts for something.
And if you're the coaching staff, don't y'all have to be pleasantly surprised about the Gainey kid coming in for Zakai Ziegler? Because you really, you don't want to have to put him in that situation, but when you do have to put guys in that situation, you want to know, because you really don't know when they're playing that sort of competition. You really don't know how they're going to react, and that's got to be a pleasant surprise for those guys if something does happen with Zakai Ziegler being out for a long time. You've got a young man there that you can rely on.
Okay. We're going to go to stat of the day in a minute. And then, yes, a little bit early, I'm going to open up the phones. We're going to open them from 4 to about 4:40. And go ahead and jump in now at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Because once we bomb out on stat of the day, we're headed to the phones. Billy, how else do they reach us?
Chat room's open right now. We saw one earlier. Need a little bit more. You can type in your comment or question on the right of the YouTube screen. Also on Twitter and Facebook. Just swipe up and fire away your question or comment.
Okay, I'm looking at the TV. 65 North has been shut down somewhere around exit 80 or 81 in that Wedgwood Avenue area. I don't know a lot more other than the TV is saying deadly shooting. Hit the phones. We'll start the 4 o'clock hour in style on 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Hit
After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Don't miss the world-class talent and playoff intensity of Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball as it comes to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium for Season 4, February 5th through March 2nd. Come watch stars Alicia Clark, Sydney Colson, Lexi Brown, Jordan Hurston, Isabel Harrison, and more. Tickets start as low as $20, which gets you access to both games of the doubleheaders, post-game autographs, activities on the court, and more. Go to auprobasketball.com to buy your tickets today.
The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville Police Officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about changes in career, people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have them. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
Chat room coming up, but first stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we're going college hoops today. Last night proved that Bill Self is one of the best coaches in college basketball. He is one of 3 active coaches with 800-plus wins. Can you name the other 2?
Okay, Kelly, you with me?
I'm with you.
I'm going to say that Tom Izzo and Kelvin Sampson.
Oh, wow.
Are 2.
Kelvin Sampson. What about, has Mark Few been at Gonzaga long enough? Probably not.
I think it's close. I don't think he's there, but I think he's really close.
I'd say Tom Izzo for sure.
Yeah.
You may be right about Calvin Sampson. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time.
Okay, before we release it, let's think about it for a second. Could it be Rick Barnes?
Oh, it could be Rick Barnes because he had a great career at Texas before he got to UT. So, yeah.
Before that, he was at Clemson. So I think Izzo's bound to be one of them. The other one, I'm just not sure about. Billy, release the hounds.
Georgia right. Rick Barnes is one of them, and the other is John Calipari.
Should have got
Calipari. Well,
so
wow.
Izzo isn't.
Nope.
Wow.
You
I
got to
cannot believe that. He's been at Michigan State forever.
You got to think about the multiple schools. Calipari won big at Memphis and Kentucky,
Right.
and then Barnes won at both Texas and Tennessee for. I mean, he was at Texas for how long?
Texas, what, 17?
I mean, at
17
least,
years?
Yeah, 15 years.
So
both schools.
Wow. Izzo not being there shocks me.
That is a little surprising.
What is his win total? He's got to be close.
725.
Oh wow, he's still got a ways to go.
Yeah, he does. Probably 3 seasons worth. Good question. Really good question.
Mark Few has 715. So both those guesses are right behind, not far behind Barnes and Coach Cal.
Yeah. Okay, real quickly, as we welcome all of you a little bit late officially into the 4 o'clock hour, we're at the Ford Ice Center. I'm going to report this again. I-65 North has been shut down around exits 80, 81, and right around that I-440 loop on what is being described as a deadly shooting. I don't know a lot more than that, but feel like we need to pass that on. If you're out there driving and you need to get into that area, you probably need to think of an alternative route because that doesn't sound good at all. Anyway, we're opening phones a little early, and that seems to have caught some of you off guard. Go ahead and jump in now at 615-553-0933. Let's start in Murfreesboro. Jeff, welcome in.
I just want to say, George, did you watch the Kentucky-Arkansas game Saturday night?
I did.
So what'd you think about Cal? He did pretty good, didn't he?
He did very well.
We didn't think he didn't play very well. They don't play defense very well. They let Arkansas shoot outside from 3, which they shouldn't have done. Big C hit 3 from dead center. One they tried to close out, and just poor close out. They didn't play well. They don't play a lot of defense. They have done it the last 2 years. It gets old, but it's late in the season now, so it's all right. Being a Kentucky fan, it's okay. Butler's out again tonight. Nobody feels sorry for us. I don't know if they'll beat Ole Miss tonight or not, but we'll see. Carr's back, but Butler's not. So we didn't need a point guard against Tennessee, but we needed them against Arkansas and the rest of the league because 2 of the last 3 years we'd have a point guard going to Knoxville and beat Barnes. So that shows you right there that it doesn't really take much to beat him. But they're not very good defensively. I wish they were better. Somebody said they'd be a 7 seed when the tournament starts. I don't know about that. I don't know how they're going to finish in the league because they've got 10 games left, 9 after tonight. They still play Alabama. At Alabama, they play Auburn March 1st. So those are probably two toughest games they've got. I thought Cal did a great job. I have nothing against him. George, I know you hate him. That's fine. He doesn't matter. He'll get booed. He doesn't care. He could have, if he had no class, he would have flipped everybody off and rubbed, but he has class, and he shook Pope's hands and left the arena. So that shows you right there. But he is a Hall of Fame coach. And those 2 guys that you talked about, Barnes and Calipari, there's no comparison. It's like John Calipari and I don't know. I didn't even think of maybe Ray Mears or I don't know who, but or maybe Wimp Sanderson. Yeah, those 2 don't compare to. Ain't even close. I mean, one's in the Hall of Fame, one's trying to get in. It's his 2nd time being nominated. I think they do it the Final Four when they name them or whatever, then they go in later on. So, but I ain't gonna listen to what your thoughts on the game Saturday night and what your thoughts on Kentucky. Probably won't be much, but I'll just hang on and listen. Thanks.
Yeah, look, I was shocked that Kentucky didn't win. Yeah, I went in probably like a lot of people, assuming that Kentucky would blitzkrieg, would hit Arkansas with everything under the sun. And early in the game, they did. They shot lights out in the first 6-7 minutes, and then there was nothing. And I guess, Kelly, that's my big shock to that, is that in the end, there wasn't much.
No, and I'm like everybody else. I'm like you. I thought Kentucky would have no problem with that game, but I don't know if it got to them a little bit. There was a lot of, I'm sure there was a lot of tension in the air there, and just at the end, they stopped hitting shots. I mean, I don't know. And then Arkansas comes back the next night and gets, lambasted by Florida, which Florida's a really good. There's so many good basketball teams in this league, George. It's kind of crazy. Like it's Killer's Row. What you talk about in football, it's crazy.
Arkansas's actually got Texas tomorrow, I think, right, Kelly?
In Fayetteville?
I don't remember.
Yeah, because Arkansas
I've seen it.
Kentucky Saturday.
Is it Oklahoma or is it Texas?
They've got Arkansas's at Texas tomorrow.
Okay.
At 8. So, that'll be a proven ground. If you can go beat Texas too, then you start to think about something with Arkansas. But against Kentucky, they hit 13 threes. They hadn't shot that well all season. And that was the most in a road game against a ranked opponent for Arkansas since 2019. So they played the game of their lives, Arkansas did. And they opened the second half with a 12-2 run. And that was
it.
That was all she wrote. Kentucky never got back in it.
What's Lenardi got all these teams right now? By the way, I wish I could tell you more, and I can't right now, other than Don Aaron, who is the spokesman for the Metro Nashville Police Department, is addressing a bunch of reporters, and the headline, "Police Respond to Deadly Shooting on I-65 North." And I'm sorry, that's all I got.
Well, at Berry Hill, that Father Ryan's not far right there.
Yeah.
And Overton as well, FRA right down there. So hopefully everybody stays safe. But you mentioned where these teams are at, George. Arkansas is in the next 4 out now. So they're in that group of the next 4 out of the tournament. Vandy's at a 9 seed right now. But they'll,
which gives them a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah. But not a ton.
Not a ton.
Missouri they were a 7 seed at this time last week. They bumped up to a 5 after beating Mississippi State.
And Georgia is in right now. Wow.
Barely.
Yeah.
I mean, they're hanging on. Tennessee up to a 1 seed. So
guys, if you're Arkansas and you're the Arkansas fans with Calipari coming in, is it a downer that you may not make? Like did everybody think that they were going to be an automatic deal going to the NCAA tournament, or was this they knew what was happening? They knew it was probably going to be a rebuild. He's probably going to bring his guys in. They weren't really sure. So I want to know y'all's opinion on that.
I don't think it would have been crazy for Arkansas fans to expect a tournament berth this year with the talent. Now, they're not crazy talented, but they're better than their talent. They have
what they had shown.
Yes. And they're 2-6. They were 1-6 going to Kentucky. They showed they've got some guys that can hit shots.
They may be the 7-11 that proves the theory.
Right.
They got to do some winning from here on in. But and the
good thing about the SEC is you've got opportunities. If you're a team like a Vandy or a Georgia or an Arkansas or even Oklahoma on the bubble,
you're getting a bunch of quad ones.
Yeah, it's all quad ones. So if you lose, it's not gonna kill you. But if you beat any of them, that's like, look out for this team. That's the thing about the SEC this year.
Clay in Nashville, you are next on 94.9 The Fan.
I'm glad the phones opened early today.
Well, we're glad you took advantage of it. Thank you.
I'm getting together some guys up at Jonathan's in Hendersonville actually to watch the game tonight. Kelly, with all of my razzing of you, about razzing, and giving Billy such a hard time. So I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay, tell me.
George is what I would consider a basketball junkie.
Yes.
Billy is
George is a sports junkie.
Basketball junkie. Billy is a basketball junkie. So my question is, you're a former professional football player. Would you consider yourself a basketball junkie?
I'm not a basketball junkie, but I do watch some basketball. And this year with the SEC, I have watched some games because it's been so competitive and there's really good teams. So I don't know if I'm a basketball junkie, but I do watch more than normal.
Okay, I'm going to give you 3 games that a junkie would watch tonight.
Okay.
The first one is very early, and it's St. John's at home against Marquette under Rick Pitino, who once said, Larry Bud is not walking through that door. The second one of these games would be Michigan State at UCLA. Michigan State laid an egg Saturday. Now they're staying out on the West Coast to play UCLA. And there's some belief, whether it's true or not, that some of these Big Ten teams that are having to do all this travel are starting to wear down a little bit.
Yeah.
They're not used to it.
See it. Yep.
Third game tonight, BYU at home against Arizona. BYU holds about 20,000.
Tough place to play.
Yes. Those are 3 great games that don't even have anything to do with the SEC.
And look out for Arizona. Caleb Love, they're coming off his game winner or game tying shot a couple of games ago. Arizona's a team to watch.
So, Clay, where are we going with this?
George, do you remember my booklet on the Vandy, South Carolina football game? I don't remember what the line was. But, that turned out to be a travesty because we lost 28-7. My question to you is, Vandy is a 12.5-point dog from what I'm seeing. So I'm saying the doors hang tonight and cover. What do you think about that? Vandy plus 12.5.
I think they cover. I'm not all that confident about them getting a win. Gainesville's tough.
Yeah, I would agree. Billy, I assume coming off of whatever was going on with Jalen Carey, whatever it was, late to shoot around, as you mentioned, or whatever, Byington said it was a coach's decision. I would assume he's back in the 9-man rotation tonight, correct?
Yeah, I would guess he wasn't injured, so he wasn't on the injury report or anything like that. So for all I know, he's good to go tonight. And tonight's a game they need him. They need to be able to get it down to him in the post because he was a non-factor really at Oklahoma.
I see this game a lot like the Tennessee game where he played so well. Vandy's tallest guy probably is Jalen Carey, 6'8". I think McLaughlin is more in the 6'7" range. I think I'm correct in saying this. Florida has, I want to say, 4 guys in their rotation, 6'9" or bigger.
Big kids.
So that's going to be a key in this game. How Vanderbilt can do around the rim, both offensively and defensively. But I'm more just interested in how this team responds because let's face it, they ran into a buzzsaw in Norman, Oklahoma. They got their butt kicked in the second half. I'm sure that Byington has probably gotten their attention since then, and hopefully they'll come out and play a good game and at least give Florida a run for their money. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not expecting to win the game, but hopefully it'll be a good game.
Hey, thanks for your call. Okay, I know we got to go to the break. I don't know anything more other than we're looking at what's going on involving what is described as a deadly shooting on 65 North. If you're anywhere near that area and can figure out a way to get around the fact that they have shut down 65 North from the I-440 exit ramp due to a fatal shooting, and that's for the moment all I know. So around that Wedgwood Avenue area, exits 80 and 81 in that 440 ramp that you would go around. Okay, after the break, we'll lead off with Frank in Smyrna, but we've got room for several of you. So jump in there at 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. We'll take the phone calls during this next segment, so hit the phones. We're back on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancos Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancos to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancos Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancosbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. And the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancos Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancosbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3.
Hey, Preds fans, your Predators have 2 more games this weekend before a 2-week break for the NHL's Four Nations Face-Off International Tournament. Next up for the Preds, Friday night in Chicago against the Blackhawks, and then Saturday night at home against the Sabres.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Well, we've told you about all we know. 65 North has been shut down somewhere between exits 80 and 81, which are Wedgwood Avenue and around that I-440 loop. What we're being told is there has been a deadly shooting somewhere in that area. So they've closed down 65 North. If this helps you in some way, as far as getting around the city, great, because otherwise you're about to roll into a mess. Frank in Smyrna, welcome into 94.9 The Fan.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon. George, I was in Tampa, Florida over the weekend, and I went to a couple of Lightning games and, got 1,498 questions before I lost count on basically all saying, can we have Steven Stamkos back? You guys apparently don't need him or aren't using him right. And what's wrong with the Nashville Predators? All that talent. What's wrong? And, it's they've taken notice up there. In fact, I had to get a good laugh at the in-game host during the second period Saturday night. They were giving a scoreboard report update and showing highlights. And they said, let's go to Nashville, better known as Stammer's new team. He wouldn't even say Predators. I got a kick out of it. And then the guy said, goodness, what's wrong with the Nashville Predators this year? It's just, I don't know. I personally, I see we get a 2-week break coming up. I think Barry needs to change coaches. This isn't working. They've lost 5 in a row. They're just, it's just the season by discontent. It's like you guys were saying earlier. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when I come back to Tennessee in late March. I'm used to seeing hockey well into late April and early May in Nashville, and it's not going to be this year. So I guess we'll can get excited about baseball season coming up, which leads me to what I really call
perfect segue. Yes, let's hear it.
Right. Talking to several people I've got to know in the Tampa area, and one guy told me that he used to work for the Lightning for a long time, and it doesn't work for the Rays. And he said, I absolutely believe here's what's going to happen. The Rays are going nowhere, and Stuart Sternberg is going to sell the team. He believes that they will get their ballpark done, but it's going to be a year later than they're projecting. And he believes it will be in St. Petersburg as planned. And again, like I said, and that the owner's going to sell the team to people that will keep it in St. Pete, which is what he believes the city council and the government leaders want in the first place. Is they want the Rays to stay, but they want to get rid of the owner. And another guy that I know is familiar with the area said the same thing. So they believe that's the latest conclusion, and they made sure they added, no disrespect to your friends up there in Nashville, but you're not getting our baseball team. And I said, listen, we lost our hockey team, and I told them that story. So I told them I understood how they felt.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. Sternberg, about the time it looked like there was a deal done, suddenly there's not a deal done, and nobody quite knows what to make of it.
Yeah, those guys said they didn't know what to make of it. No, nobody does. They're like, the city's saying, read your leash, you blankety blank. We don't have to fix this stadium by 2026, and we don't have to do this. And the Rays are like, yes, you do. You're in violation of the terms of the Tropicana Field lease. So it's just, I think, they say it's just all about they really want the forced owner to sell the team and want the Rays to stay. So it's just so. And I said, well, my question was, okay, you say that does happen. Where do they play in 2026? And they looked at me and said, don't say Nashville. And I went, why not? But that's a story for another day.
Hey, thank you.
That's the latest from down here. You're very welcome, George. Thank you. And glad to see the weather is warmed up there in Tennessee. I do hate to hear the news on I-65. That's becoming far too common on Nashville's interstates. I'm quite frankly very sad and disappointed to hear that news today. I'm sure we are. It's just far too common up there. Far too common up there. This needs to stop. And that's all I'll say about it. Thank you for letting me talk, guys. Take care.
Thank you. He's right. It's becoming far
He's
too
absolutely
common.
right.
Yep.
Far too common all over the country, not only here, but everywhere.
Eric is up next. Eric, welcome in.
Guys, before I get to what I mainly wanted to talk about, I just wanted to say, Billy, Kelly, George, I owe all three of you an apology.
For what?
Well, my trivia question yesterday, because I had a brain fart and somebody mentioned Kansas City, San Francisco. They did meet each other twice, and I should have called that then.
I knew the Chiefs and Niners had played each other. I knew it.
Okay, so
yeah. Because the first time it was Jimmy Garoppolo, and of course Patrick Mahomes. That was his first Super Bowl victory, and of course last year was Brock Purdy. So
yeah,
that's on me for not catching that. So I apologize.
What do you think, Kelly? Demerits? Saturday school?
Guillotine, man, guillotine.
Oh, I don't think it's it's not death penalty.
But also, one other thing concerning that, what did all those Super Bowls have in common?
What did all those Super Bowls have in common? Were they outdoor venues? No. Because one of the Buffalo Dallas was indoors in Atlanta.
All inside.
Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I don't know. Tell us.
No. The team that won the first time also won the second time.
Also won the second time. I did see that stat.
We should have gotten that.
Yeah. Which means that, of course, if it falls true to form, that means the Chiefs will win again and be a three-time Super Bowl champion. Although one interesting thing, Dallas and Pittsburgh met a third time, but Dallas won that one. That was the Bears Switzer game after Jimmy Johnson had left.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Switzer.
Yeah. Guys, one last thing, and I'll let you go. And this, of course, has been a discussion about if the Chiefs win this. Everybody's talking about they're going to be the greatest team of all time, and you could definitely make that argument. But I've already heard people saying that if they win 3 straight Super Bowls, they're already going to put Patrick Mahomes above Tom Brady, which I personally can't go there yet. I mean, I understand if you want to put him above John Elway, Peyton Manning, somebody put him above now Joe Montana. But if he wins 3 straight Super Bowls, only because of Brady's longevity and the fact he's still one of the many Super Bowls that that he's won. And, of course, he's still got a way to go to pass for yardage. But as on his trajectory, you could make an argument that he could go on to be the greatest quarterback of all time. But I'm not there yet if he wins this Sunday. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Guys will get off. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Brady still has 35 playoff wins. Mahomes wins over the Eagles. He'll just have 18. So
35 playoff wins.
They popped that graphic up, and I thought it would have been closer, but 35-17. I'm like, oh my
35.
gosh.
Of course, he played till he was 90.
Yeah, and they won the AFC East. How many years in a row? Won it like 15 years in a row?
Oh, it was a bunch. Yeah.
That's the other thing about
like
Mahomes.
what Kansas City's doing. Yeah.
Can Mahomes hold up as long and play as old as Brady did?
Oh, the question would be, does he even want to?
Yeah. I mean, Brady had to sacrifice a lot, you would imagine.
7 years in the NFL, 7 AFC championship games, 5 Super Bowls, 3 in a row now. That's
ridiculous.
I'm like Eric. I'm not going there yet because Brady won 7. But like Patrick Mahomes is the closest guy to get to that so far, and he's still got a lot of football to be played. There's some longevity going on. He hasn't had a massive injury like Tom Brady had an injury one year where he had to sit out the whole year. So if he can stay healthy and he can keep people around him, he may.
Crazy.
When do we say, okay, Mahomes has surpassed Brady?
I don't know.
I mean, does he have to get to 7 in your mind?
Probably. I mean,
that's the only thing.
At least 6. At least 6, don't you think? At least 6.
Let's go, Tony in Nolensville. It's a good question, by the way. Tony, welcome in.
Hello, George. Hello, Billy and Kelly. Eric calls in, and he's always got stats, and he's always a historian on the NFL. But he has yet to give us this week a summary of the dodgeball game and the touch football game that went on at the Pro Bowl.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Did any of the 4 of us watch that? I did not.
No. I did not.
No.
Okay, so we're 0 for 4. May the Pro Bowl.
Well, that's why I'm waiting on Eric's update. We know right now Eric watched it.
Well, we're not certain of it. But, Eric, if you can call in and confirm that, just tell the board op whether you watched it or not, and I'll pass it on.
I love giving Eric a tough time. He's got always got a lot of NFL good info. He really does. Guys, tonight Vanderbilt goes to Florida. History speaks for itself. George, you probably know this better than all of us. Vanderbilt normally does not play well down there in the Caldwell O'Connell Central George.
Yep.
Yeah. They normally do not play well there. Matter of fact, Drew Maddox took it down to the last minute during our when we had the streak going of the 3-pointers that he had won, I think, in the last minute to
listen.
When it was going.
Tony, I remember it well because I was announcing the game, and I kept thinking, man, this is getting late. This is getting late. And apparently either Drew knew it or somebody told him. Drew pumped up about 5 threes in the last 90 seconds. It was hilarious.
He did. And finally, George, I think he hit it with like 45 seconds left or something.
Yep. It was
something like that.
It was the best thing that happened in a bad night.
It was. So I'm not looking for I want it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Of course, Tennessee didn't do Vanderbilt no favors with whipping they put on Florida with 7 players the other day. So they're chomping at the, no pun intended, trying to get advantage. And one last thing, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it unbelievable how a guy left a Power 5 head coaching job to take a offensive coordinator job in another Power 5 conference, and now he has got a promotion of $6 million a year to be an offensive coordinator for the Raiders. Did you ever think about coaching?
Tony, it's unbelievable. He's got like George said earlier in the show, he's got a lot of toys at Ohio State, and Tony Basilio talked about how they're going to be north of $30 million payroll this year. So it's just like the NFL, and I don't know. Tony talked about the respect issue with Chip Kelly, but I don't know why you do that either. He goes by and he says that he loves college football. He's more of a college football type of guy with all the trinkets and all the things that he does offensively. He tried it in Philadelphia and it didn't work. I don't know why you go back to the NFL, but obviously when you're talking about the green stuff and they paid him a lot of money. Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to deal with the NIL stuff,
NIL stuff. Ohio State went in the red with 30-something million and this team this year cost them $20 million. That's a lot of money to go win a trophy. Guys, I'm going to let you go. George, good show. And it's the crazy story that happened on 65 actually started in a robbery attempt in Green Hills Mall. So it's unbelievable.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
And it ended up over on 440 and 65. So you can imagine what went on through there. All right, guys, I'll leave you alone.
Thanks for sharing that.
By the way, the Pro Bowl flag football game, I think is what it was. The NFC won 76-63. And Eli Manning is now 3-0 against his brother Peyton as coaches in the Pro Bowl.
Did was there anybody, did they fill the stadium up?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I forgot about it. It looks like they did.
It looks like they did based on the picture Billy and I are looking at. Yeah.
Decently.
I do not understand that. Let's let it, like George said, let's let it rest in peace.
Yes.
Everybody just wants to be able to go and to associate themselves with the fans. Let's stop all that nonsense. It's nonsense is what it is.
George has been asking this on YouTube, by the way, last couple of days. New Hall of Fame class this week. How is Rodney Harrison not a finalist? Only he and Ray Lewis have over 30 sacks and 30 picks, 2-time first-team All-Pro. more sacks and picks than Palomalu, gold jacket worthy?
Can't answer it. Don't know.
I agree, man, but Rodney Harrison had a reputation of being a cheap shot guy, and he just played hard. But that's once you get that stigmatism associated with your name, whether it's right or wrong, people look at that stuff. And I agree with you, George. I think he needs to be in the Hall of Fame because he's a really good football player, and he was really one of the catalysts for those, Bill Belichick-led, Tom Brady-led teams up there because they had Tom Brady, and then they brought Rodney Harrison, and he was kind of the enforcer on defense. And I agree with you. I think he needs to be in, but once you get that around you, it's hard.
Even as an analyst, Rodney's still got some ruggedness in him. I mean, he
does. I like him, though. I mean, he played the game hard. I can't say he was a cheap shot artist. He just played the game hard. He was physical. He's going to play to the whistle. He's going to, if you're not prepared and you're not focused on him, he's going to knock the trash out of you. And there's nothing wrong with that.
To the break, Mark McGee, when we come back on 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC. Lender.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
I know we have beat this to death, but if you're out driving and this is the first you hear, you'll probably appreciate it. There has been a deadly shooting on I-65. They have closed 65 north around Wedgwood Avenue, somewhere between exits 80 and 81, and around the time you would get around the 440 loop. I was not aware, Tony in Nolensville telling us that this began as some sort of a shooting in and around Green Hills Mall. I don't know a lot more than that, but stay off of 65 North because it's not going anywhere. Mark McGee joins us to talk a little bit about the slumping Preds. Gee, how are you?
I'm good. I wasn't on I-65.
That's good. Now all of a sudden we got a brand new set of circumstances. Preds had gone on a 5-game winning streak that quieted things down for a while, but the minute they lost a game, it turned into a 5-game losing streak. What do you think now changes because of this?
Well, seems like everything sounds the same all the time. I mean, how many times, it's 50-something games into the season, and Andrew Burnett's still talking about finding chemistry. If you haven't found chemistry by now, you need to put up your chemistry set because they should be ready to roll. He's talking about switching lines again and all this. I mean, it's the same stuff that they've been talking about all year. I don't know that anything's going to be any different right now. It's the same old thing every time that he talks after a game. Well, we played pretty good, but not good enough, and we're finding chemistry. We're doing this. I mean, it's getting old.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. And part of the problem is the issues started so early with an 0-5 start. Guy, do you think this has Barry Trotz rethinking the decision as far as keeping Andrew?
I think so. I think he wanted Andrew's his guy, and I think he wanted to give Andrew every chance he could. But right now, I mean, Andrew Burnett's been a good coach in the past, but he's just not a good coach this year. Every time I thought I had hope for him, I mean, he's an offensive. The offense is his big thing, especially on the power play. They can't score goals. They're not scoring goals, and on top of that, UC Saros, who usually has a slow start to the season and then gets better as the season progresses, is really in a slump as well. So the combination of the two spells kind of doom as far as any hope of a playoff spot.
So what does this do now with the trade deadline coming in early March? First of all, it would appear of the big three that Brady Shea would be the most likely of that threesome to be put out there. Do you think there are takers for him?
Nobody's going to touch his contract.
Well,
but don't have the tickets in front of me, but his contract is not attractive.
Yeah. So, okay, but doesn't that sort of guarantee that the Preds, if they want to make a move there, have to be prepared to pay some of it?
Probably so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they really. Yeah, you're not going to get rid of Steve Stamkos. You're not going to get rid of Marchessault, even though Marchessault has been flat all season for the most part. Stamkos has looked a little bit better, but you're not getting rid of those two guys. Yeah, Shea would be he'd be the most likely one of those three. But I don't know that many people, especially what he's played this year. I don't know that many people are going to be that interested in him, so. I don't know. Yeah, the Predators will have to pay part of his contract because his contract is not attractive. I forgot the numbers, but they're pretty strong. So I think it'd be tough. Ron O'Reilly, I know that Barry likes him, and he brings a lot of character and poise and leadership to that team. But Ron O'Reilly would be not fit to be traded right now. But Barry's making noise like he might be a buyer. He hasn't given up on the season yet. Maybe he's playing poker with everybody, with everybody, and not really want to show his hand. But he's indicated on different interviews he's done lately that he's not necessarily going to be a seller. And on March 9th is the deadline. He's not going to necessarily be a seller. He might be actually be a buyer. Of course, that may be that may just be him blowing smoke. I don't know. So be interested to see what happens there.
Was it not a smoke though before this became a 5-game losing streak?
Probably so. I think his reality has to set in. This team is not going to go to the playoffs. Everybody can take their playoff money they had saved and maybe upgrade their ticket for next year.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how do make obviously they have been the beneficiary of the Titans sucking as bad as they have. Yeah. And so much of the attention being on the Titans that the Predators have been able to skate around it. But what happens if they start next season and it looks anything like this?
It's going to be tough to sell tickets. And the Titans don't have to worry about selling tickets because they've got such a TV contract with the NFL. The Predators have to sell tickets.
Right.
And bring people in to buy concessions. So they've got that's a much different picture. Let's hope it's not going to be. Let's hope this was just an aberration. That it's not going to carry over to next season. Teams have a bad year. This team has been snake bit and a lot of with injuries and things of that nature. They just couldn't get in gear. I know I think Vegas nights tonight might be a good night to play against the players in that because the players have had such bad luck. It might be good to play some gambling games against them tonight because they don't seem to be they're not much of a winning situation right now.
Gee, I know we've had him on our show. Everybody loves Barry Trotz, right? He's the greatest. But,
he's a great guy.
Greatest
coach ever to deal with.
Right. We talk a lot about the blame that Andrew Burnett deserves. In your mind, how much, if any, does Barry Trotz deserve?
Barry did what he thought it was right. But I think Barry's big mistake was he bought too many players. I think if he just had gotten Stamkos and Marchessault, or and maybe or Stamkos and Shea or whatever, a couple of those guys instead of 3. I think he brought a lot in, and maybe he brought in too much. You can't buy. Hockey is a unique sport. You cannot buy you have to have a team. You can't depend on 1 or 2. Everybody, most good teams have 1 or 2 great players, but you just can't buy players and throw them into a team in hockey and expect to necessarily be successful. There are a lot of good teams. When you look at Edmonton, had 2 of the greatest hockey players in the league, and they struggle at times the last couple of seasons. So, I mean, you've got to have a team concept. Now, right now, the Predators team concept is just not there. I mean, like I said, Charles is struggling. Defense has not been the Predators' defense of the past, and offense, which was supposed to be the big key, is nowhere to be found right now.
Kelly, I didn't leave you much time. Give Guy 1 or 2 questions.
I was just thinking, Guy, with the way that the season has gone, why? Because obviously Barry Trotz and Andrew Burnett thought that they had something. They got a bunch of older guys, experienced guys, but it just hasn't clicked this year. Coaching wise, like how do you get this? Like, it seems like it's falling on deaf ears. So how do you get these guys going at this point in the season?
They've done everything. They've threatened. They've taken away playing time. They've switched people around for different lines. They've done quite a few things. Maybe they need to have a U2 concert somewhere that they can go to. But they've got to come up with that they won't go to. They've got to. I think it's too late now to really rally these guys that much, and you might not want to right now. Right now, the Predators have the 3rd best chance, lottery-wise, of getting the number 1 draft pick, and only Chicago and San Jose have a better chance right now. So, so that might be what you target for, because the Predators have been able to get a top line, number one, even a number 2 choice pick could be a big boost to this team. And this team, you don't want to say rebuild. Everybody's using the word probably retool. But this, I think you're going to see a massive change in this team between now and next fall. I think it's got to be. I don't think you get rid of the big free agents, but I think there's going to have to be some moving around. And Forsberg is definitely untouchable, and Yossi's untouchable. But I think you're going to see some movement in some of those middle players and that type of thing to try to get this team into a team concept that wins.
Is there a Bedard in this upcoming draft type like that?
Not really. No, there's not really a consensus number one. There's 4 or 5 guys that they're talking about as possible number ones. One's a defenseman, one's a center, and a couple of forwards. They're good players. This is an okay draft, and the Predators have a ton of draft picks in it. But you don't have that Connor Bedard mystique where everybody says, "Oh, that's going to be the number 1 pick." You don't have that right now, and so it's going to be interesting to see which direction they go in. But there's quality in the first 8 or 9 players for sure. And the Predators haven't picked. They picked David Legwand second the first year they were in the league, the first draft they had up in Buffalo. Okay, and then the only other time they picked higher than 6th was Seth Jones, defenseman, and they picked him. He was in the 4th round. So they haven't really had that many picks above the 6th, number 6 pick. So it'll be interesting to see what they might do with a 1st or 2nd pick this time around. Like I said, the lottery situation right now, the only San Jose and Chicago have a chance better than the Predators of getting that number 1 pick.
Guy, we got to run, but I appreciate on short notice you're taking the time to come on with us.
That's fine.
That's
fine. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me on.
See you, Mark. They go to a 2-week break that is not an Olympic break. It's this nation tournament that's coming. I cannot imagine those players being excited to come back on February 22nd, knowing there's still 7.5 weeks left with absolutely no shot at anything.
When you get paid as a coach, you got to motivate them some way. It's crazy.
Yep. Okay, Billy, let's get to the important stuff.
Bart Durham injury law brings us bet of the day. We've got some SEC action tonight. We'll see where George is going. First, last night, Kansas covered -3.5, big time, over Iowa State.
Did I get the credit for the win?
You did. You were 17-16.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you were.
You sure?
Billy's right about that. Yes, he is.
Okay. Well,
thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely, Billy. I got your back when you don't screw up. But when you do screw up, I'm the first one to call you out.
Yeah,
Kelly helping Billy. Imagine that. Okay, Kelly, not 1 pick tonight, not 2, 3.
Oh, wow. Okay. Is it the ones that you named earlier? Yes.
Well, sort of. Okay. Taking Michigan State for this reason. Not very often does a Tom Izzo team lay 2 eggs in a row. They bombed out at USC. Now they go across town to UCLA. It'll be a really good game. It's a late game, but I think Michigan State not only covers, I think they win outright.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Number 2, BYU. This will be a tough game. BYU, 21,000-seat gym. They make a lot of noise. Arizona getting better and better, but this won't be easy. I'm going BYU. And then in the SEC, I'm taking Ole Miss at home. The question is, does Kentucky bounce back? Or in a short amount of time, do they just show up in kind of a glaze? Who knows? I know this. They better play well. If they're going to win at Ole Miss, They're going to have to play like it.
Hotty toddy.
SEC's a crapshoot right now. Nobody knows.
Tomorrow, Mike Organ will join us. Who knows what else? Until then, so long, everybody.